Welcome. If you've ever felt drawn to a woman yet sensed something deeper was off, if you've ever questioned why desire often leads to confusion or why your instincts betray you when it comes to love, then you're not alone. The Stoics saw it coming. They warned us. But no one ever taught you how to choose, only how to chase. Until now. Keep your mind clear and let's begin. You think it's about chemistry, the fire, the thrill, the way your heart races when she enters the room, the way her chaos pulls you in like a wave you don't want to survive. You think that feeling means she's the one. But what if I told you that's exactly how men lose themselves? What if I told you the very thing that excites you is the thing that will exhaust you? Because here's the truth. The woman who makes your pulse race might not be the woman who makes your soul rest. Most men never learn to tell the difference because they've been conditioned to confuse stimulation with compatibility, and no one teaches them to read what stillness feels like. But the Stoics did. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And yet, you keep seeking women who disturb your center not because they're bad, but because you mistake their volatility for passion. But passion without peace is just self-destruction dressed in perfume. The question is simple. Can you breathe deeply around her? Not in the beginning, not on date night, but on a Tuesday when everything's still, when no one's performing, when no one's trying. In that space, is your body tense or at ease? The Stoic man doesn't chase fire. He observes it. He doesn't choose the one who overwhelms his senses. He chooses the one who can sit in silence with him without needing to fill it. Because silence is where masks fall. It's where the nervous system speaks truth. And most relationships fall apart not from conflict, but from a failure to be still together. You want a woman who excites you. I understand. But here's what no one tells you. If she only excites you, she'll eventually drain you, and you won't see it coming. You'll be too wrapped in the high to notice the quiet cost. But the Stoic man, he chooses from stillness. He watches, he listens to his body. He honors the whisper before the scream. He asks, can I sit beside her in silence and feel more of myself, not less? And if the answer is no, it doesn't matter how beautiful she is. It doesn't matter how magnetic, how wild, how intoxicating. If your peace can't survive her presence, she is not yours to keep. Because the man who chooses only the spark will one day beg for the silence he gave away. If her beauty controls you, it owns you. She walks in and the room changes. You feel it in your chest, a tightening and alertness, a surge of desire you mistake for fate. You think she's the one. But the Stoic man doesn't think like that because he knows. Beauty is not a sign of virtue. It's not a promise of peace. It's not a measure of depth. It's a test. And most men fail it because most men are still ruled by the oldest deception in the book, that what looks good must be good, that what attracts you must be what completes you. But Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And beauty, especially hers, is not in your control. So what happens when her smile pulls you in, when her presence disorients your logic? You give her your power not by choice, but by addiction. You start chasing, performing, adjusting yourself for a woman who has given you nothing but a glance. And just like that, you're no longer choosing, you're reacting. This is what no one tells you. If her beauty can manipulate your behavior, she owns your value. And if she owns your value, you're no longer a man, you're a mirror, reflecting back only what pleases her. But the Stoic man doesn't follow a face. He watches it, calmly. He asks, does her beauty align with her discipline? Does her image match her emotional presence? Does her exterior demand more attention than her character deserves? Because real beauty, the kind that deserves your time, is composed. It's not loud. It doesn't manipulate. It doesn't need to be seen. And most importantly, it doesn't control you. You control yourself in its presence. That's what separates you from the rest. You don't suppress your desire, you observe it. You let it rise, but not rule. You sit across from her breath, steady gaze unbroken, And when she senses that her beauty hasn't bent your spine or stirred your need to prove yourself, she leans in, because now she's unsure. And that's when you begin to lead not her, but yourself. This is the paradox. The more untouched you are by her surface, the deeper she'll want you to see beyond it. So you must ask yourself, does her beauty move you toward your highest self? Or away from it? Does it inspire presence? Or perform for attention? The Stoic man doesn't get lost in the image. He seeks the substance behind it. And if he finds none, he doesn't rage. He doesn't chase. He doesn't try to be worthy of what is empty. He simply returns to the only beauty that cannot be faked, the peace that comes from a man who cannot be moved by what everyone else worships. What she laughs at reveals her values. It's subtle. You're with her, and she laughs at a joke, at a video, at a cruel comment someone made online. And in that instant, something inside you shifts because you feel it. The disconnect. She's beautiful, she's charming, but the sound of her laughter doesn't match the woman you thought you saw. Most men ignore that moment. They brush it off. They convince themselves it's small, that it doesn't matter what she finds funny. But it does. Because what a woman laughs at isn't just humor, it's alignment, it's emotional code. It reveals what she finds harmless and what she finds amusing even when it's hurtful. A Stoic man doesn't chase surface harmony. He listens to underlying signals. And laughter is one of the purest, because it's not filtered, it's not rehearsed, it's reflex. And in that reflex, she tells you everything about what she deems worthy of empathy or not. You become what you give your attention to, Epictetus. So ask yourself, what captures hers? Does she find joy in mockery? Does she light up when others are put down? Does she laugh to belong, or does she laugh from genuine joy? Because here's what no one tells you. You are not just choosing a partner. You are choosing the environment your nervous system will live in. If her humor thrives on conflict, if her laughter echoes superiority, if her entertainment is soaked in judgment, you will inherit that frequency, slowly, quietly, until your peace is gone and you can't trace how. The Stoic man doesn't seek entertainment, he seeks congruence. If her laughter contradicts her claimed values, if her jokes have no grace, no awareness, no discernment, that's not personality. That's programming, and unless it's confronted, it will guide her choices when things get hard, when you make mistakes, when vulnerability is on the line. Because the woman who laughs at someone else's humiliation today may not hesitate to turn that same laughter on you tomorrow. So watch carefully, listen to what lights her up, observe what she repeats, what she shares, what she remembers. These are not accidents, they are reflections. A woman of depth doesn't need to be serious all the time, but her humor carries care. It uplifts. It notices absurdity without cruelty. It finds truth without shame. That's the kind of laughter your soul can breathe around. That's the kind of woman whose presence refines you. But if the laughter feels off, don't ignore it. Don't romanticize it. Don't try to compensate for it with logic or lust. Your nervous system already knows what your ego is afraid to admit. The Stoic man doesn't chase compatibility through chemistry. He reads it through energy, and energy doesn't lie. So if her laughter wounds your peace, it is not a joke. It is a signal. And the man who learns to listen before he falls is the man who never regrets what he chooses to walk away from. A woman's emotional chaos isn't romantic. You've been trained to believe her storms mean passion, that her outbursts mean depth, that her jealousy, her drama, her unpredictable moods are signs of how deeply she feels. You've been told that emotional volatility is somehow evidence of love, as if the more she erupts, the more she must care. But the Stoic man knows better. He knows that chaos isn't intimacy, it's unprocessed pain. That unpredictability doesn't make a woman magnetic, it makes her unsafe. And he knows that peace is not the absence of passion, it's the presence of emotional maturity. If she only feels alive when something is wrong, you won't become her partner, you'll become her target. Most men learn too late. At first, it's seductive. The way she cries over small things, the way she texts in paragraphs, the way she pulls you in and pushes you away. It feels like love because it's intense. But intensity without consistency is not love. It's instability, it's confusion. It's the kind of bond that keeps you on edge, guessing, adjusting, apologizing for things you didn't do until you no longer recognize yourself. How much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the circumstances that aroused them in us? Marcus Aurelius. The Stoic doesn't chase anger with explanation. He doesn't soothe dysfunction to avoid conflict. He observes, he asks, does her chaos come with reflection, or does it just demand forgiveness? Because if her pain becomes your responsibility, every time you're not in a relationship, you're in emotional servitude. You must understand, emotional chaos is not feminine energy, it's wounded energy. And unless she's healing consciously, actively, intentionally, she will try to break you just to feel control again. Not because she's evil, because she's ungrounded. And no matter how masculine you are, no matter how calm, how strong, how wise, if she needs conflict to feel connection, your relationship will become a war zone. The Stoic man doesn't fight storms. He walks away from them, not with cruelty, not with bitterness, but with clarity, because he knows. If a woman's self-expression consistently costs him his center, it's not love, it's imbalance. And imbalance, when ignored, always becomes resentment. So pay attention early, not to how she looks when she's calm, but how she responds when she's not. Does she take space instead of weaponizing her emotions? Does she pause before she projects? Does she come back to the moment when she loses herself? Or does she expect you to carry both your pain and hers? This is not about demanding perfection. It's about choosing alignment. A woman who values peace doesn't need you to manage her moods. She regulates herself. She calms her own nervous system. She may feel deeply, but she never makes you bleed for it. And once you've tasted that the love that doesn't yell, doesn't guilt, doesn't erupt, you'll never mistake chaos for care again. The Stoic man chooses peace not just in solitude, but in love. Because the woman who protects your nervous system is more beautiful than the one who excites it. Watch how she treats boredom. She's glowing on the first date, magnetic, fully present, eye contact like fire. Every story, every glance, every laugh curated and captivating. You feel the chemistry, you feel chosen, but the Stoic man knows. Anyone can be dazzling when the music's loud, the wine is flowing, and the lights are low. The real test isn't how she acts in thrill, it's how she behaves in stillness. What happens when there's no plan? When the adrenaline fades and the night stretches on in quiet? What does she do with boredom? That's when her true self emerges. Because here's a truth most never consider. A woman's relationship with boredom is a window into her maturity, her discipline, and her emotional capacity. Does she reach for chaos when nothing's happening? Does she scroll for validation? Does she pick a fight just to feel alive? Or does she rest in herself, in your presence, in the simplicity of the moment? If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Seneca. The same is true for women. If her sense of self disappears when there's no stimulation, she will drift from you, from herself, from truth. She'll chase novelty and call it fate. She'll provoke tension and call it connection. And you'll spend your life mistaking emotional noise for intimacy. The Stoic man watches. He observes how she behaves when there's nothing to impress, when the mask is off, when the night is quiet and her phone is across the room and the only thing left is the space between you. Does she fill it with grace or with anxiety? This is what no one teaches men. How a woman treats boredom is how she'll treat your peace. If she fears it, she will disrupt it. If she needs constant entertainment, she will pull you away from your purpose, your depth, your clarity, not out of malice, but out of emptiness. And emptiness is hungry. So ask yourself, when the silence falls, does she meet it with comfort or with fear? Does she turn toward you or turn toward distraction? Does her body relax or does she start looking for the next emotional hit? You can tell a lot about a woman by how she handles desire, but you can tell even more by how she handles its absence. The Stoic doesn't just choose the woman who ignites him. He chooses the one who doesn't need to be lit up all the time to feel worthy. The one who can sit, breathe, and not make the moment about her discomfort. Because in the end, every high burns out. Every infatuation cools. And when that happens, what's left? If it's resentment, you chose wrong. If it's silence that feels heavy, you chose noise. But if it's stillness that feels safe, you chose wisely. A woman's beauty may enchant you. Her fire may seduce you. But how she handles boredom, that's the woman you'll spend the rest of your life with. So choose not just for the nights of passion. Choose for the mornings of stillness. Because boredom isn't a flaw to escape. It's a mirror that reveals who she really is when no one's watching. Desire is not direction. She wants you. You feel it in the way she leans in the late-night messages, in the compliments that seem to come too quickly. You've barely spoken and she's already speaking in futures, plans, fantasies. Most men take this as a green light, as validation, as proof of their worth. But the Stoic man pauses because he knows. Just because a woman desires you doesn't mean she can walk beside you. Desire is not direction. Lust is not loyalty. Emotion is not alignment. You see, desire is fleeting. It's fast, hot, impulsive. It doesn't require clarity. It thrives in projection. She's not responding to you. She's responding to how you make her feel in the moment, to the illusion, to the escape. But when the high fades, when her inner chaos returns, will she choose to stay grounded in truth? Or will she run? The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Epictetus. Her desire for you, it's not in your control. It comes and goes like weather. But your direction, your path, your mission, your inner compass, that's yours. And the moment you abandon it for a woman who simply feels strongly, you trade purpose for permission. You need to ask, does her desire come with discipline, with presence, with self-awareness? Or does it spike in moments of insecurity, boredom, or emotional hunger? Because if a woman runs on feelings without form, she will pull you off course. Not with malice, but with momentum. Her momentum. And if you don't know your direction, you'll follow hers. The Stoic man leads himself. He doesn't react to a woman's excitement. He reads it, measures it. He asks, can her feelings stand still when tested? Does she choose me when it's quiet, when it's hard, when it's real? Or does she only show up when it's fun? Desire is easy. It costs nothing. Direction requires integrity. That means, is she emotionally consistent? Can she keep her word? Does she have a history of impulse over values? And most importantly, does she honor your path or distract from it? The woman who respects your direction may not always burn hot, but she endures. She doesn't need to chase you because she walks beside you. She's not ruled by surges of emotion, but guided by clarity. And when the storms come, because they always come, she doesn't question you. She returns to truth. The Stoic man doesn't chase women who want him. He aligns with women who can walk in the same direction, who don't just desire him in highs, but join him in the valleys. So ask yourself, does her passion match her principles, or are you falling for heat that can't carry weight? Because if you chase desire, you will lose direction, and a man who loses direction will always end up begging to be led. Her standards for others, her standard for you. You sit across from her and listen. She tells stories about her friends, her co-workers, her exes. You laugh along, you nod, you think you're bonding, but a Stoic man listens deeper. He knows. The way she talks about others is not small talk, it's a preview, because how she sees them is how she will eventually see you. At first it's charming how sharply she analyzes, how witty her judgment sounds, how effortlessly she dissects other people's flaws. But behind that clever commentary is something darker, projection. And when a woman habitually reduces others, it's not because she's insightful, it's because criticism is her comfort. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. Marcus Aurelius. But if her soul is always worked up, if everything is an offense, if every human interaction becomes another story of betrayal, or stupidity or annoyance, you are not listening to wisdom. You're witnessing a pattern of emotional volatility disguised as standards. And make no mistake, you will become her next story. Because people don't switch off their perception just for you. A woman who gossips to you will gossip about you. A woman who mocks weakness in others will eventually mock yours. Maybe not now, not while the spark is alive. But when routine sets in, when your mask slips, when you have a bad day or miss a cue, she won't suddenly become gentle. She will treat you exactly as she's treated everyone else. The Stoic man watches. Not just how she treats him, but how she moves through the world. Is there grace in her assessment of others? Or always judgment? Does she leave people better than she found them? Or does she collect grievances like trophies? You must understand this. Her values don't live in what she claims. They live in her default reactions. Does she defend the absent or expose them for attention? Does she speak of past relationships with ownership or only with blame? Does she create connection or collect leverage? These things matter, because if she cannot hold space for other people's imperfection, she will not hold space for yours. She might admire your strength now, but the moment you slip, she will turn your humanity into ammunition. The Stoic doesn't fear criticism, but he refuses to partner with it. You want a woman who speaks life when it's easier to criticize, who protects the dignity of people who are no longer in the room, who values peace over power, connection over correctness. That's not softness, that's integrity. So listen closely, not just to the way she laughs, but to the targets of her humor, not just to how she vents, but to the tone she carries when no one is watching, because one day that tone will be turned toward you. And when it is, you'll wish you had paid more attention not to her affection, but to her judgments. The Stoic man doesn't just ask, "Does she love me?" He asks, "How does she love what she doesn't need?" And the answer to that question is the one that reveals everything. A woman who tests your boundaries will never respect them. She pushes, gently at first, a sarcastic joke here, a comment that lingers just a second too long, a subtle comparison between you and someone else. You brush it off. Tell yourself she's playful, that she's just fiery or strong-willed. But beneath it, there's a pattern, and a Stoic man sees it. It begins with small violations, testing your reaction, pressing into your tolerance, not in anger, in curiosity, because what she's really asking is, what can I get away with? And more importantly, will you stop me? At first, you excuse it. You think, I'm being chill, I'm not overreacting, I'm secure enough to take a joke. But here's the truth. When a woman tests your boundaries and you fail to respond, she doesn't see strength. She sees leakage. And over time, that leakage will rot the foundation of your connection. If you do not wish to be prone to anger, do not feed the habit. Epictetus. When you allow small violations to go unchecked, when you reward disrespect with patience, you're not being noble. You're being naive. Because the woman who tests you today for sport will test you tomorrow for control. And when she discovers you won't hold the line, she won't feel free. She'll feel superior. And no woman stays in love with a man she doesn't respect. The Stoic man knows his value. He knows that boundaries are not about being rigid. They are about being rooted, not easily shaken, not easily baited, but never passive. When a woman crosses the line, even subtly, he names it. Calmly, without shame, without accusation. Not because he's hurt, but because he refuses to participate in patterns that will slowly hollow him out. You must understand, testing is not love. It's a form of self-protection, a way for a woman to see how much of her chaos you'll absorb before you disappear. And if you absorb too much, she'll lose trust not in you, but in herself for choosing you. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man who tolerates everything. She wants a man who can meet her edge with presence, not punishment, not silence. Presence the kind that sees what's happening, calls it out, and remains grounded. So if she mocks your vision, interrupts your peace, plays emotional games to see if you'll chase, and you let it slide, don't be surprised when she stops admiring you. You taught her how to treat you, and now she's following your lead. The Stoic doesn't lecture, he doesn't explode. He simply removes his energy from anything that insults his self-worth. He teaches through boundaries, not bitterness. So let her test, and let her learn that you are not a man who allows tension to go unspoken or games to go unrevealed. Let her feel that you are not available for emotional manipulation disguised as passion. Because when a woman sees that your boundaries are not a reaction, but a standard, she will either rise to meet them or fall away from your life, and both outcomes serve you. Choose the one who guards your time, not consumes it. She wants you, your presence, your energy, your attention. At first, it feels flattering, like you're finally seen, you're finally needed. But the Stoic man knows, being needed is not the same as being valued, and attention is not the same as respect. You see, there are women who want to be with you, and there are women who know how to honor the space you hold. One will demand more of you the moment you give. The other will protect your time like it's sacred because she understands it is. Marcus Aurelius said you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. The Stoic lives with urgency, with clarity. He doesn't waste his days in endless talking, endless explaining, endless emotional labor. So why would he ever give his time, his life, to a woman who squanders it? But most men do. They find themselves constantly adjusting, constantly available, constantly trying to soothe someone who uses their time, not to build peace, but to create neediness. She wants to be on the phone for hours. She wants attention when you're in the middle of your focus. She interrupts, tests, sulks, not because she's evil, but because she hasn't learned how to sit with herself. And if you're not careful, her inability to manage her own time becomes a theft of yours. A Stoic man notices. He watches how she responds to his solitude. Does she respect it or resent it? Does she encourage your path or pull you off it? Does she understand the value of a man building something greater than comfort? Or does she mistake your purpose as a threat to her centrality? You want to know if a woman is right for you. Watch how she reacts when you say, "Not now." Watch how she treats the hours you're not together. Watch if she fills the space with her own growth or with expectations of your attention. Because if she truly respects you, she'll protect your time from herself. She won't compete with your mission. She'll align with it. The Stoic man doesn't avoid love, but he demands that love be orderly, that it enhances structure, not dissolves it, that it cooperates with discipline, not wages war against it. A woman who values your time is a woman who understands that the man she loves is not hers to consume, he is hers to support. So choose her not because she always wants to be with you, but because she knows when to step back and let you become who you were meant to be, without interruption. That kind of woman doesn't need to be chased. She walks beside you at the pace of your growth. And in a world of emotional noise and urgency, that silence is love. If you can't lead yourself, you'll follow her emotions. You want to be with a strong woman, one who feels deeply, one who challenges you, one who brings fire to your calm. But here's the truth no one tells you: unless you've mastered your own emotions, her intensity will drown you. Because the woman you admire for her passion will terrify you with her storms if you haven't yet anchored yourself. She feels everything, and sometimes she doesn't know how to regulate it. She'll cry, lash out, withdraw, test you, confuse you. Not because she wants to break you, but because she's still learning how to hold herself. And if you haven't done your own inner work, you will either try to fix her or try to please her, and both are a betrayal of your core. The Stoic doesn't follow mood, he follows principle. He doesn't chase validation. He remains rooted in what he knows to be true. He doesn't abandon himself when things get uncomfortable, because he understands. The moment you stop leading yourself, you start following her emotions. And that is the beginning of the end. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. If you're easily pulled off center by her bad day, by her disappointment, by her triggers, you will spend your life in emotional reaction, and she will lose trust in you, not because you're not kind, but because she can't lean on a man who is constantly leaning on her approval. You think leadership is about making decisions, about taking charge, about doing more. But leadership, real masculine leadership, is emotional steadiness. It's saying, I will not abandon my values even when you abandon yours. It's being the calm in the fire, the mirror when she spirals, the breath when she holds none. A woman doesn't need you to fix her. She needs to feel your calm. She needs to know that when she doubts everything, you won't doubt yourself. And from that place, she will start to regulate herself. Not because you told her to, but because your presence reminds her that it's possible. But if you follow her waves, she'll never feel safe. And she'll keep testing, keep spinning, keep searching for the man she thought you were the one who could hold her storm without being swept away by it. So if you want a high-value woman, a deep, passionate, intense, brilliant woman, you must become the man who leads not through control, but through stillness, through choice, through the invisible power of not being emotionally hijacked by anyone, no matter how beautiful they are. Because love is not found in the highs, it's revealed in the lows. And the woman who stays, the one who honors you, trusts you, softens around you, is the woman who saw that you didn't flinch when everything else in her did. The Stoic man doesn't fear a woman's emotion. He simply refuses to follow it, because he already knows the only path worth walking is the one led by his own internal compass. And that, in the end, is the only kind of man she'll ever surrender to. You've been told to chase her attention, to impress her, to understand her mood swings, decode her messages, keep her interested. But the Stoic man doesn't operate like that. He doesn't mold himself to be chosen. He becomes someone worth choosing. And that begins not with knowing women, but with knowing himself. You've walked through these 10 truths, not to judge her, not to fix her, not to fear her, but to see clearly. Because clarity is what the world lacks, and clarity is what Stoicism demands. You don't choose a woman based on desire. You don't choose based on charm, chemistry, beauty, or validation. You choose from alignment. You choose from stillness. You choose from the part of you that isn't afraid to walk alone. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. That's the essence of it all. You don't become a man of value by winning her over. You become one by becoming unmoved, not cold, but unshakable. A man who doesn't flinch when she tests, who doesn't chase when she pulls away, who doesn't explain himself to be accepted. Because he lives by something deeper than her emotions, he lives by principle. And what happens then? The game ends. She sees you, not as a project, not as a temporary thrill, but as structure, as the man she doesn't need to question, as the presence that doesn't perform but anchors. Most men react. You observe. Most men chase. You choose. Most men want to be loved. You want to be true. So let the world keep spinning. Let others chase fire. Let them lose themselves in noise. You return to the stillness, to your code, to your direction. Because the woman who is truly right for you isn't the one who changes your center. She's the one who recognizes it, honors it, and meets you there in the silence, in the depth, in the calm. Not as a reward, not as a prize, but as an equal. So now the choice isn't hers, it's yours. Are you clear enough to choose the woman who doesn't just excite you, but expands you? If so, you've already left behind 90% of men, because you no longer choose through need. You choose through truth. And that is what Stoicism always wanted for you.